All right, so Champ Jans for 7 likes says, "What is forgiveness and why should we do it? My soul desperately needs to know. I feel so angry, resentful, vengeful, and scrupulous. Forgiveness was painted arbitrarily to me in evangelicalism, which I know you can relate to. What comes to mind is how Christ forgave our sins so long ago. We call God unjust because he forgives his enemies. Should I pay for my sins and the sins of others or not?" All right, so a good way to understand this is to understand that forgiveness is a way by which reality actually exists. That is, or you can understand compassion, right? Compassion is a way by which reality actually exists. And this is a technical term, first of all, which is that you have to do this all the time, by the way. But you have to forgive all the time, constantly, because people are always not according to the standard that you wish they were. They're not according to their own standard. They're not acting according to what we think, like say the standard of the perfect relationship, which we have in our, in our mind. And because of that, we are constantly called to forgive in order for things to continue to exist, right? So you have to let go of the discrepancies of something to a certain extent, or else the world can't incarnate. Like you can't actually have a relationship if you hold to such a high standard of a relationship that you never let anything go. That relationship won't be able to exist. Now that's true of a relationship, but it's also true of anything that exists, right? The pure form of something has to relinquish some of its perfection in order for it to be able to actually be embodied in the world. It has to be capable of letting go, let's say, of its ideal form. So that's one. And so when we forgive, we are acting like God. It's not just that God tells us to forgive us and Christ forgave us. It's like when you forgive, you are acting like God. You are participating in the creation of the world. When you forgive things, you are letting go of the fact that things aren't God, right? Maybe that's a good way to understand it. You are letting that go. And in letting that go, you are making it possible for things to be constantly alive and restored and capable of existing. And so when we're asked to forgive, right, it's like we are asked to participate in the life of God. We say, "God, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sinned against us." That's not just a moral injunction. That's not just God wagging his finger and saying, "If you don't do this, I won't do it for you." It's that's how it works. It's like, as you forgive others and God forgives you and God forgives others through you, and all of this is happening. That is how, the world is existing and continuing to move towards love. So that's a few reasons. And the final reason is a more selfish reason, in the sense that ultimately you don't forgive others for them. You forgive others for yourself. Because when you have resentment and anger towards someone, that is them ruling you. That is you making yourself a slave to them. And when you forgive them, you're freed from that slavery. You know that joke when it says living rent-free in your mind, like that's what it is. That when you don't forgive people, they basically you are making them your tyrant by holding a grudge against them. And especially when, like, sometimes, someone has done something and honestly, they don't even feel guilty about it. And that makes you even more angry and more vengeful and more resentful. And that makes them even more powerful over you, because it's like they don't even know. And despite that, you're the one who's obsessed with them. They're not even thinking about you. It's not even like, it doesn't cross their mind that you're obsessed with them or that you're thinking about them. And so you're making yourself a slave to someone who doesn't even want to be your tyrant, who doesn't even want to rule over you. And so you forgive in order to be free, But I know it's not easy. Like I think it's important to say that it's difficult. Everybody has had that experience, especially in long relationships. Relationship with family, that you have things that are difficult to forgive. But without that, the world halts. It's like the relationship is on pause unless you forgive.